Okay, listen.
Fuck you. Okay, go ahead.
CMP CaveCast number 5 back again. I need to figure out how to get a hold of that guy that does the voiceovers for the pro wrestling commercials and stuff. Have him come in and intro my CaveCast. My name is Admire. You already know that if you're with me again. And you most likely already know that because you're probably just like a family member or a friend that's just listening to this, just going, man, fucking Danny's weird. Anyways, fuck it, we'll do it right off the bat. Back with us for a second installment. Just couldn't stay away. My good friend and yours. People eat your heart out. It's St. Kynes.
What's happening?
Welcome back, Kynes. Thanks for coming in as we're just preparing to sweat our balls off in this room that's got no air conditioning. Well, I guess we'll get right into it. Basically, what I was thinking about ranting on was being somebody that jokes around a lot. Like you're the same way. It's probably real hard to offend you, I imagine. Can you remember the last time somebody offended you with words?
No.
At all?
There's a lot you could say to me that I've said worse is, I think, why it doesn't bother me.
Right. And also it would be hypocritical.
Yeah.
To joke around like we do and then get offended. But people do it. And they can't help it. It's not their fault. I mean, it is their fault, but it's not, knee-jerk reaction to get offended. Some people don't think that deeply into it, and they don't stop themselves. And then they say things that are like, you can tell are not jokes that are designed to hurt you. But also, like, when's the last time someone hurt your feelings with words, really? That's probably...
Right.
Maybe like one or two people in the world could do that to me.
You could just tell they're searching for the atomic bomb of words.
The cutter, yeah. They really want to get you, and everybody's not an idiot. You can tell when the shift change comes in the, from playful banter to somebody being angry now. But it happens, and a lot of times it happens with people that are my friends, I know that I'm an insufferable prick, to people that don't know me, but my friends, most of them, for the most part, expect it, and so, no, they don't get offended when I tell them to die in a car crash or something, or,
Right.
It's all in fun, all in joke, all for laughing, but, then people get offended, and anyways, when it's a friend, they want to, I don't feel the need to talk with somebody about it once that happens, I just kind of make a little note in my head, like, okay, that's how you are, so I won't joke around with you as much, or
like this person's quicksand, so
like, okay, that's where that goes when they can't handle it, and so I don't tend to say anything, and then after a couple days goes by, and it's like weird because they feel bad for basically being a person that they like to make fun of, that gets offended and stuff, and then it makes things awkward. So then they come and say things like either, hey man, I'm sorry, that pissed me off, but I don't know why, so no big deal, fucking move on. Or you get, hey man, I don't know if you knew this or not. They like put it off on you. I don't know if you knew this or not, but I was just joking the other day. Like, I wasn't sure, like, if you knew or and
Yeah.
it's like they were the one that ended the conversation and got mad and walked away like huffy.
Right.
It's like, but then they put it on like, I don't know if you knew that I was joking or not. Like,
So they just want to like rehash it. Almost.
yeah, like almost was expecting me to go, hey, dude, why were you such an asshole? And then for them to have an opportunity to be all, oh, I was just joking. But then a couple days goes by and I don't do that, and
it's kind of like girlfriend boyfriend stuff, like
kind
where they act a certain way and they didn't get the response they wanted at the time, so they hit you with a new approach later, going like, remember when you yelled at me 2 weeks ago? And you're like, no. And they're just like looking at you like you were supposed to just break down right there. Like, I am sorry.
Yeah, Greg Giraldo had a great one on being gay, and he's talking about wouldn't it be great to be gay? He's like, the things that come out of your mouth are interpreted exactly the way you meant them to be. And he's like, you'd be riding with your partner on the way home and they'd be all, remember when you said about my mom a couple weeks ago when we were in the car driving this way? And you'd be all, no? And they'd be like, oh, neither do I. Let's go watch some football or something.
Rest in peace, too.
Yeah, seriously. Man. And, well, again, we gotta do some... Let me throw together, like, find a couple of good Patrice clips, because that's coming up, and I miss the guy now because, like, I wish, I was thinking today, Penn Jillette, Penn and Teller.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a lot of his views about things a lot lately. He's been around a lot, and I was just thinking, that'd be great to have him and Patrice, like, hash something out, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that would be a good versus.
Both sides of, yeah, just, I don't think it ever happened. If it did, that'd be great to see. But, anyways, both those guys, big influences and great, sorely missed. I was thinking about it, and it's almost like, most comedian, like music is like seems like a young person. All the good musicians died, at 27 or whatever. Not all of them, but I mean
a lot of them.
Yeah. At 27 years old, and it seems like all the comedians make it into about their 40s, just their early 40s or so. I think Bill Hicks was around his 40s. Hedberg was 38 or something like that.
Right.
And I think Giraldo and Patrice were both pretty close to.
It's probably because of like a contrast of lifestyles where, the younger, if you're a musician, you could write like 5 great songs for a demo and then get a record deal all by the time you're like 19 or 20. But if you listen to a lot of comedians talk about the process of becoming a good comedian, they say it takes 8 to 10 years. So it's probably a situation where you're a little older when you hit and start making some money. And also, even if you're a comedian on the road, I'm sure as much as they party, it doesn't compare to what a band does on tour. So it's just a different level of trajectory. So maybe they just make it a little older because it's not as harsh and they don't hit as early. But definitely, yeah, a lot of them. It's
that
weird.
Makes sense. I never thought about it like that. And the being at the top of the music scene. When you're young like that, I'm sure is fucking.
Yeah, can you imagine like being 21 and getting a record deal and then writing an album and having it go platinum, and then
everybody fucks you and wants to give you drugs. And
yeah, you just go from a guy who just played,
loved playing
a year
music.
ago was playing in maybe small clubs or your garage to, you got real fans and some fame and you got a bunch of money and you're only 21 years old. It would be hard to handle for anybody, I think.
For sure. That makes sense. Yeah, and comedians never go to that level. Like, I guess some did. Eddie Murphy in the 80s was probably...
Dane Cook a few years ago.
Yeah,
was
Dane
really
Cook.
Big. He was selling out stadiums all over the place.
Who was the 90s, do you think, was the rock star comedian?
The 90s?
There's got to be somebody that's still around that... Maybe, damn it. What's the guy's name?
There's guys that were always kind of big that were from the 80s to the 90s, like Carlin.
Yeah.
Carlin was just big.
Carlin was always great.
But trying to think of a guy that came from the 90s and was huge is...
Yeah, Pryor and Carlin and them were all pretty much they were established before then, but there had to have been we'll think about it. There had to have been somebody
you
that was.
stumped me on that one. The 90s.
And oh man, I know because you're right. Dane Cook for pretty much all of the 2000s has been like, well, not all of them.
Now
but,
Kevin Hart
yeah.
is really big. I'm not a huge fan, but he's definitely big.
Yeah, I like him because he's a little edgier than that other D.L. Hughley.
Yeah.
That other short black guy comedian. Yes.
Kevin Hart is funny though.
Yeah,
I'll give him that.
But like maybe I don't know. He says fuck a couple times more or something. I don't know. But
right.
But he's also from that group of dudes, kind of the New York Boston comedian guys.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing is when I think about the 90s, I think of like the alternative. That's where a lot of alternative, like David Cross and all these guys.
Yeah, Hedberg,
all those alternative guys came out in the 90s, but I can't think of one that made it huge and was selling out stadiums. It was like the punk rock of comedy came out in the 90s, kind of.
That was a movement. It was funny. I was listening to, it was the Opie and Anthony show. They were talking. It was Norton and Colin Quinn, and they were all shredding on each other. And Opie wanted them to say something nice about each other. So Colin's like, "Well, Norton brought something new to the table, and his kind of comedy kind of changed the game up a little bit." And he did.
Oh yeah.
He was, the way he is, and nobody was making fun of themselves. But anyways, it became Norton's turn to say something nice about Colin, and he goes, "Well, Colin's real perceptive about who the funny comedians are. He's a great judge of comedy."
Right, just totally.
It was funny, but
Norton's awesome.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Like anybody that would go on stage and admit to a crowd that he likes to be peed on and have sex with transvestites and just be totally casual about it.
Honestly, he's got me looking at transvestites like,
yeah,
like not that I want to go fuck one, but he's got me like,
he'll talk at length about it, man. He'll be like, "Look, man, I like to be peed on. I like transvestites." And just hearing like having a guy be that casual about something that's so off the wall and crazy is
and what comedian? Okay, first of all, there's not many good looking comedians, but what comedian have you heard go up and make fun of their looks before him? Also,
he just doesn't care. It's not that I don't think he's trying to win points by being self-deprecating. He just doesn't give a shit if you know that he gets peed on. And that's what I like about him.
Exactly. Speaking of Norton, that he actually was involved in a couple of terms that I didn't really know were real until this last couple of weeks. The first one was he was in a debate with a blogger. I don't know what else she did. She seemed to be maybe a wannabe comedian because she had had a couple jokes or whatever, but it was a conversation about rape jokes, about people making rape jokes, and he basically put her on her heels pretty much immediately, and she was kind of backpedaling the whole way, trying to get her point across. But anyways, and she kept saying rape culture, and I have really never heard that term until the last couple of weeks.
Me too. I heard it. Tosh got in trouble. That's where it all started.
I remember Tosh got in trouble.
Tosh was like, comedians go to clubs, small clubs, to work on new material to see if it's funny or not. So when you go to a show, you could, and you go to see a guy like Tosh who's big, and you go to a small club, chances are you need to know he's going to be working on something.
And you might even hear a shitty joke.
And you're going to hear it. You're like they talked about in some books I've read and interviews I've heard. They talked about like even big guys like Chris Rock would go into a club and he'd bomb a whole set just working on new stuff, and he knew that was a strong possibility.
Right.
Because that's what they do there. They have to work it out that way. You have to work it out in front of a crowd to know where the rhythms are and where the hits and all that stuff. Anyways, Tosh was doing that, and he told a rape joke, I think. And a girl said, "Rape's not funny," or "That's not funny." And he goes, "Wouldn't it be funny if everybody in this room raped her, or
yeah,
five guys
if she got raped outside, or yeah.
And he's handling kind
of.
a
To be honest, I think the same girl that Norton was doing the thing with was the same one that wrote the original.
And that's what it. Because afterwards, after he said that, this girl went and wrote a blog, and Tosh, came under fire for it. And Tosh, he was just trying to handle somebody who... A heckler. I mean, even if she meant what she said, she was stopping the show, drawing attention to herself.
And I know what it is like to be on stage and have somebody open their mouth while you're trying to do your thing. And, it's that... I don't have an anger problem, but I know I get it. I've gotten angry before because it's something that just boils up in you that you can't stop, and that's one of the things. It's just like, motherfucker,
I'm up here doing something.
You think it's fucking easy? First of all, just to grab a mic in the first place and get in front of people, it's fucking not.
No.
So first of all, have respect for that, unless you do that yourself. That's why I always thought like, fat people can make fun of fat people, or whatever. It's like, well, fucking, if you do that, then sure, fucking. If you do that, you understand that it's their time on the stage. You don't wait till afterwards to take them apart.
And who doesn't understand? Like, okay, you're gonna go to see Daniel Tosh. You're probably gonna hear something that's offensive, and then if you interrupt Daniel Tosh's show,
I would be pissed if I didn't.
Right. If you interrupt Daniel Tosh's show, and you put the spotlight on yourself and piss Daniel Tosh off, he's probably going to say something very bad to you. Like, you should just know that ahead of time. And so for her to go to a Daniel Tosh show, hear something offensive, draw attention to herself, heckle him, and then get told something also offensive afterwards, and then blog about it.
And then build a pseudo celebrity form off of...
It just... That's the thing. It looks like you should have known better. And if you're that sensitive, you shouldn't have been there. Like, what are you doing at a Daniel Tosh show where everybody knows comedy, knows Daniel Tosh does that kind of comedy?
Yeah, if you walked in never hearing the name before in your life, maybe.
Right. Yeah, right.
Maybe you get a pass all the way until you walk out and get on the fucking internet.
And you don't have to
find out, like, what show you walked into.
Right, if you walk in there and you never heard of Daniel Tosh, and then he says his rape joke and you get genuinely offended, then the next step for you as a decent-minded human being is just leave.
Yeah.
It'll be like, this isn't my sort of comedy. You don't yell out something, stop the show, and draw attention to yourself, and get upset when he addresses you, like comedians do. I mean, comedians like Daniel Tosh that have been doing it for so long, they've handled hecklers from the get-go. Like, they've had to learn how to slay hecklers to get the crowd back.
Oh, yeah.
So as soon as you say something to him, he's coming at you from that background. You shouldn't do it. Unless you want to get hurt, don't attack the guy with the microphone is the general rule.
Yeah, that's basically it. And the guy with the microphone is going to be hurt way more than you are, so it's really just dumb. It's disrespectful, it's dumb, it's rude, And basically, as far as I know, or as far as I think, you get everything you deserve if you open your mouth like that and you put yourself as a target to somebody with a microphone.
It's the same thing as if, like, I don't know, CNN was filming and you just ran up on the camera. How are they going to react to you? They're going to treat you like a vigilant. Yeah. You're causing an outburst.
Or a cop's doing his job, and you walk up and push him off.
Start screaming at him. And stuff. What do you think he's going to do? He's like, look, miss,
you're getting
I'm
tased.
In the middle of something here. But that's the first time I heard. I think that another comedian, Jamie Kilstein, he took the side of the blogger, which is crazy because he's a comedian.
It's a guy comedian?
Yeah. He took the side of women and feminists, and he said there's a real rape culture and people need to be sensitive about it. And that's the first time I ever heard the term. And then I think Joe Rogan, you'll have to check out the episode. There's an episode where Joe Rogan and him have it out over it. It's a normal conversation, and then they get into this subject, and it gets heated, and then their rivalry extends after their thing.
Oh, really?
But I don't understand what it means necessarily, the term. But my opinion is like I don't think that any subject should necessarily be taboo when it comes to adults. And if you don't find a rape joke funny, then then you don't find it funny. You're an adult.
Don't
you
laugh.
Be able to
maybe don't
it.
listen to comedy. That way you might never hear a rape joke again.
Right,
maybe,
or go listen to the Blue Collar
thing.
Comedy Tour and stick to that sort of stuff where you know you're never going to hear one. Don't venture into dark waters.
Or if you do hear a rape joke, it's going to be whimsical and cartoony, right. which is okay apparently if you put it in the right context. Speaking of Carlin, he said, what did he say? I know rape can be funny. Picture Porky Pig raping Elmer Fudd.
It is funny. Like, look, rape. If a woman gets raped, it isn't funny. It's horrible. No. But if you're a good comedian, you can take something that horrible and put it in the right context and make it funny. Which is, in my opinion, why comedians exist. And it's a good thing. It's taking pain and horror and finding a way to deal with it. And that's the way a lot of people will handle things when they get hit hard in life, is find a way to look at this situation and make sense of it and look at it from a funny point of view if you can. And I could understand if someone had just had a family member, raped or something, and they heard a rape joke. That was the point. That was the point of view, was if a girl was raped and she's thinking about, should I... This was not my point of view. This is the girl that was in the argument with Norton. If she was just raped, maybe she's thinking about whether or not she should report it or not, and she's in the audience and she hears a rape joke and everybody laughs, and then she decides she's ashamed of it and doesn't report. First of all, I don't think any part in our culture that I can remember growing up glorifies not telling anybody if you're raped. Right. Second of all, that's the first thing a normal person would tell you. That's like, I can't because I'm not likely to be raped, Mm-hmm. So I can't put myself in that shoes necessarily. I mean, I could imagine, go in prison or whatever, and fucking, most guys fear. I break my arms or something. I can't defend myself. I can't fucking kick my legs. I don't know, but so I can't really put myself in the shoes of being that vulnerable. But you're going to a comedy show, after you just got raped, like, that's what I need to get over this, is a little laugh. I'm going to go see one of the most offensive comedians out there. I just need a laugh. And he's not just offensive. Like, he's brutal. He's also not just generally offensive. Is. He's misogynistic. Yeah. Like, if you watch his show, he's rude to girls. He is. So, yeah, like... Tosh is going to say I'm too fat to be on the show. Oh, man. He can hit you in so many ways. It's and when for someone to say you shouldn't joke about any specific thing and that it's not funny, it's not true. I laughed at it. Like, there are rape jokes I've laughed at. There are race jokes I've laughed at. It's just all in the way it's presented. There's hilarious jokes of all kinds. Yeah. I've had family members die of cancer... and friends, and I make cancer jokes all the time. I wish cancer upon people in a jokingly way, right. And it doesn't offend me, and people do that to me. It doesn't. I'm not ever gonna be one of those people that's like, oh, could you, my uncle died of cancer. Could you, just fucking a bummer like that? Yeah, because what you should be able to do as a person is go, he didn't know about my uncle. Even if it singed you as a rational human being, you may feel a twinge, and then well, he didn't know that. Thinking comes in, and the reason maybe it doesn't allow you to laugh because it hits you a sore spot, but you need to be understanding enough to go, okay, well, he doesn't know about my life, my uncle necessarily, and he wasn't thinking about that when he said it, so why bring it up? Like, one time I was and going to work with three dudes. And me and one dude are joking. I don't know. I bombed on him for something, and they said I should probably just kill myself. And then we went back and forth on that for like 2 minutes. I was like, oh yeah, I'll see if somebody can loan you a gun with one bullet and all this stuff. And then maybe we could get you a hose for your tailpipe. Yeah, exactly. And I look over, and the guy drives just like, and we both look at him, and he just goes, yeah, so-and-so's had a friend that killed himself off a suggestion.
It's like, you fucking bummer, dude.
Right.
We were just laughing our asses off talking about me suggesting that my friend shoot himself in the face.
Right.
You know, which sounds awful, but as a joke, taking it in context, it was hilarious
Because
at the time.
that's the thing, is that it is awful.
And you have Debbie Downer come in and
it is an awful subject. And you know, me and my sister and some people, we just had a friend die. He hung himself from a tree. And the thing is that, you know, we are gonna have all of us that knew him, or, you know, had experiences with him. We're gonna have to find ways to deal with it. And right now, I mean, I'm not dealing with it with comedy because it's not a good time. But it's not going to stop me from down the road making a joke about this sort of thing. I'm not going to make jokes about him and his experience, but I'm not going to stop.
But that doesn't make suicide off limits, or...
Right. And, you know, it's horrible. It's crazy to think that there's enough that you can get that far in life and let everything beat you down that much. I haven't seen him in a long time. So I don't know what all happened, but like I said, I understand what it's like to have a situation happen. Mm-hmm. But that's the great thing about comedians and comedy. I think why I'm such a fan is they can take the horror of life, and those, at least my favorite comedy is where they can take shit that's dark and the stuff that's really hard to handle and put a spin on it, at least for a few minutes, where they make it tolerable and funny. And it doesn't mean that they're not sensitive to a individual situation. You know, if you came up to him and said, "Hey, that joke about cancer, my mom died about cancer," almost every comedian will probably genuinely feel sorry for what happened to you. But that doesn't make them...
They're not going to feel sorry for making the joke.
If you took every tragedy that can happen in a human's life and says you can't make a joke about it, there'd be nothing left to talk about. You could die eating hot dogs. You could choke to death. I mean, just because it's something that's tragic for somebody else shouldn't make it taboo or off limits. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to speak.
And if you die eating hot dogs, you should have a joke made about you the next fucking day after you're in the ground.
I mean, you just ask.
Like, no, honestly, I mean, well, yeah, well said. Like, it's the other side of the point was, it's a slippery slope. If you make this off limits, what's not to make this off limits, or this or this or this? What's not to make race off limits? Which, honestly, I think needs to be joked about more, and
because it starts a discussion,
and also, fuck, man, it's like the biggest thing in news right now is the Zimmerman trial, and that's completely race related and race fueled, and the media is, it's all about race, and it's like, this country needs it's making it real obvious that there are still vast cultural differences in
Patrice
the races that are in our country.
Patrice talked about that there's this passive aggressive under the surface sort of racism or tension, and instead of the old days where people just came out and said what they meant, now they find little back doors and stuff, and nobody wants to sit down and have a discussion with it because it's uncomfortable, or a discussion about it because it's uncomfortable, and it's all over the place. Instead of saying that, putting on a cape and saying that you don't like black people, instead what you do is...
Actually, it would be a hood.
A hood, yeah. Right. in saying that you don't like black people, instead what they do is they create like voter ID laws in places that are predominantly black. That is another form of racism, and it's just you're not saying it. You can say you're not a racist and still do that at the same time, even though it's told.
That's the norm these days is to do that. And a lot of those laws keep, and a lot of those laws and cultural differences that have just started or have been in place for 100 years or even 50 years, or even since the 60s, since they stopped fucking turning the hoses and the dogs on black people, like. They stay condensed, what's the word, segregation is, obviously no more, but there's now invisible chains and invisible lines.
Right.
And I'm not saying black people are still slaves, because fuck, we're all in invisible chains in some way or another these days, if we don't have fucking a few hundred G's in the bank or whatever. But it just seems like there's nothing. There's such differences, and there's which leads to major problems like that, and nothing's ever being done about it. It's
because no one even wants to sit down and acknowledge it's there or talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's
just, we'll pretend we'll pretend everything's fine, and we can't even have a sit down and have a serious discussion about it because nobody's comfortable.
That's the way I realized. I realized the other day when I watched myself completely make somebody completely uncomfortable by saying something. I can't even remember what it was, but it's something that's real simple to me, real simple truth, and it was something that this other person had fooled themselves about for their whole lives.
Right.
And it was, it's not. If I could remember, I wish I could remember the exact example. And now I sound like a fucking retard bringing it up. But
I've done this. I've done the same thing.
But it makes people uncomfortable, just because they don't want to think about it like that.
Yeah, because they want to pretend it's
like,
not there.
Hey, guess what? Yeah, it's sad when somebody dies. Yeah. But we're all gonna die, is the thing. Like, you're gonna die eventually one day. Oh no! Oh, blinders.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want to think about it.
And that's the Louis C.K. I think it was on his newest one. He told a joke. I don't remember the joke verbatim, but the essence of it was he was talking to his daughter about the sun, and he goes, well, someday the sun's going to blow up. And basically he ends up telling her, the sun's going to blow up and everybody on the planet is going to die. Everybody you know and love is going to die, or even if it's millions of years later.
7 seconds.
Yeah. And he could just see in her face that she'd never even occurred to her before. Maybe, she was too young to hear that shit. So I have to think about that stuff all the time. With Alex, like, when is a good time to tell him that the sun is going to explode and kill everybody?
That's a good way to put it, too.
But I don't have a lot of patience for adults that should know better, that just like to ignore those things. Like, come on, man. Let's find a way to go, okay, yes, death is a real thing. It's going to happen to me. But you don't have to obsess over it in a way that it ruins the life that you already have. You can acknowledge that someday you're going to die, but then try to find a way to make that, the time that you're living now more special.
That's
why it is
if
special,
nothing else does, it's like that should be the one thing that you need.
If you were told with no uncertainty whatsoever, like for sure, that you were going to live forever, and you believed it, you would drastically change your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Everybody that you ever met knows somewhere inside that they're not going to live forever. But not everybody wants to acknowledge it in a conversation. And like you said, as soon as you bring it up, they go, oh yeah, whatever, or yeah, I don't want to talk about that. But it's going to happen to everybody eventually. Just acknowledge it and be like, that's why I need to do this and this, and spend as much time enjoying it as possible.
And that's what gets me into I remember us talking about not arguing with religious people and stuff on the last one. Right. And what did I do? I went out and got a big ass religious argument with with a Christian. It happens, man. And I basically I've always said it's real simple to me. Everything, all of this other stuff, it's all religion and spirituality. It's just overcomplicating things. And Jesus, fucking burping, and muddling up what else you could be thinking about people, and you could be thinking about
the things that are right
what you're gonna do, or writing something down, or but I've never been able to put it in words like what it is, because everybody is like, no, like they'll tell me like about myself, they're like, no, you have something, like you have some sort of belief, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, I got plenty of beliefs.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff that I think what you're like. I get what you're saying. It's a thing where the issue that I have with a lot of spiritual stuff and religion is that there's nothing for me to hang my hat on or grab onto. There's so much faith and speculation and lack of real substance to grab onto right in front of you. And people will point out, well, no, there's not. I prayed for my dad to stay alive in the hospital, and he did. I can see how it made you feel that way, but that's not anything for me to grab onto.
Right.
It's not the same as, like you said, there's people right in front of you. Take your, if it's a scope or a lens you're looking through, you're zoomed way the hell out, and you're looking at too much at one time. Bring it in and look and focus what life is on people.
Yeah.
And what's in front of you, what you can walk up and touch or hear or smell, and then wait and see what happens with the rest of the stuff. It's not a bad thing to sit and think about those things, but to obsess over it and base your life around it, and then go around telling everybody that doesn't believe it that there's something wrong with them is that's all it is. I have a hard time focusing on those things, and there's plenty of things I don't know.
Right.
There's just so much,
That's kind of where like I said, it gets real simple for me. Is I know when I do something that makes me feel like a shitty person.
Yeah.
I know, and I know that I don't like feeling like that. So most of the time, I try to not be a shitty person, and I know that I'm gonna die eventually, and it's either gonna be blackness and nothing, or I'm gonna find out what who was right and who was wrong.
Right.
But the thing about it is, nothing else besides me dying is for sure in my life, and I'm completely content to wait and find out.
Yeah, there's two things.
There's no reason for me to worry about what's after my life.
There's two things right now. You're alive, and that you will die. So make the best out of those two things that are the only two certains,
Yeah, what?
I'm alive right now, and I'm going to die someday, so what does that mean?
Yeah, everybody's just muddling up the fucking... It could be so nice and so pure. But, it is what it is. People need what they need, and like I said before, I have no problem with that until you start giving me stupid religious rationalizations. These are now two of ones that I've heard before that blow my mind, and these are from devout Christians.
Yeah.
One time I said, how do you explain dinosaurs? And they said, these are two different rationalizations of dinosaurs. One person said, God put those bones in the earth to test our faith. Mm-hmm. Which...
That's a good one.
Yeah. And the other one was, oh yeah, they talk about it in the Bible. It says something about a monster coming out of a lake. Yeah, but that's... And it's like, that does not fucking... Man. That's not a billion of dinosaurs. Fucking... And then here's the last one that we'll leave you with before we go to break, and a song from your good buddy Admire is this is the greatest one. When in response to somebody going, well, I've never seen God, so I have trouble believing in him, you get, have you ever seen $1 million?
Yeah, I've heard that before. No, I have not seen $1 million. Is actual?
I've seen $1,
but I have went to the store and bought a candy bar, and then I saw a jetliner. And I had to assume that if you extrapolate the difference of cost, that somebody must have paid more money for that.
I saw 2 tour buses in the same place at one time. That
was probably more money than
the
soda that I bought. So I'm assuming that money's out there because there's things that are worth that people bought.
That's the point in the argument that I just step out and it's like, nope, okay. I'm quiet for the rest of the time.
Totally.
Anyways, here's a song. Hope you like it. We'll be back.
Yo, check pressure that will get you to sit. He'll infect your decisions with his impeccable wit. And even watch your kids when you had a hell of a shift. Space created an indelible rift, but what the hell you gon' get? Make a choice and you better know which he's in everybody's life in one way or another. Most can't get to sleep without him. Check the numbers and yeah, I partake and yeah, he's entertaining. But how much of that is programming, making my brain leak? Would've told the world, but the devil is a sequence. Would've took the stickers off my hat. He made me keep them. Devil made reality fake with no time lost. Devil made me put Little Wayne on my iPod. It seems that I'm lost, sign of the time. Stop short of the population, living life through a tripod. It's sublime thought, cozy in your chair. It's molding your belief system, flicker in the air. Trips stumbled and I fell under the influence. Trips stumbled and I fell under the influence. Trips stumbled and I fell under the influence. 8 miles to the gallon and the devil made me do it. Trips stumbled and I fell under the influence. Trips stumbled and I fell under the influence. Trips stumbled and I fell under the influence. 50 milligrams a day and the devil made me do it. We've been making peace with the ghost and the machine, sporting 60 plus years in the shifty regime. Who's the super vaudevillain and the price of entertainment? To turn into the second biggest lie that we created. Light and mitigated and good night to X-rated. Lack of love and laziness is leaving us deflated. I need to get a facelift, need to get a private jet, need to get some pills without listening for side effects. I need a fake tan and cheaper insurance. The old one works fine, but I need a new furnace. Need to get updated if it's just for a day. Shit, I need to get so much I'm going fucking insane. There's oil on the water, water on the land. Money, sweat, pistol grease, and blood in the sand. It's just another little vicious cycle, now it's televised. Turning you to just one of the flock is how the devil rides. Tainted everything valuable in the land. Devoured every victim, innocent lambs. Doctored evil videos, intent to leave me confused. The devil is your TV.
Right now, these little kids are learning how to jack their shit with amphibians. Okay, that song was The Devil Made Me Do It. Calm down, Christian folks. It's not really about the devil that you're so scared of. If you want to know what it's really about, then listen to the song and figure it out, motherfucker. Anyways, back the CMP CaveCast, back with St. Kynes. As usual, we're pretty much just ranting about certain things, and we're going to take a little bit of a different course right now. We're going to listen to some clips. I had a buddy come in that we both have grown up with, Dill. How long have you known Dill?
Since the 5th grade.
How many times have you gotten drunk with him?
I don't even know.
Too many to count.
The thing is, I met Dylan and Anthony in kind of the same way that you met some of your friends, like just typical guys. It's funny because guys will meet each other by getting into fist fights sometimes. And I met Anthony and Dylan because I think they pushed my little brother off a bike when I moved into their neighborhood, and I went down to confront them about it. And I remember Dylan always tells a story, or either Dylan or Anthony. I walked down there with like a Metallica Kill 'Em All shirt, and my hair is just flowing out the side of my hat, and I'm like, "Which one do you push my little brother?" And they explained that he was being a dickhead. But yeah, I've known Dylan since the 5th grade. We became friends right after that. I started playing football and basketball with him in the neighborhood.
Actually, you know what? I think there's a clip of Dylan meeting you.
One of the first times I met Danny. Pulled his dong out. Small. Recess. 3rd grade. Kyle. Guy on the last podcast. CaveCast. Fucking beat the dog shit out of a dude. End of story. What else do you want? What else do you want? If you're out there and you're actually listening to this fag shit, let's
You're all on board now. You're
let's get your tweets.
You got a Twitter? I'll plug
I don't
it on
fucking
here.
know, dude. I don't have Twitter. Fuck Twitter.
That's awesome.
So anyways, Dill came in.
I don't understand. He said beat the shit out of the dude.
He said you beat the shit out of a dude. I don't know.
What was he talking about?
I don't know.
But
that was the end of the story, apparently.
Wow, that was in depth, man.
And apparently I pulled my dick out. I don't remember doing that, but he got it right. It is small, so I mean.
Yeah, he remembered.
So I remember after we did the CaveCast last time, me and you were talking about DMT a little bit, and I kind of got him to open up about his experience on DMT too. He like told the little story. Anyways, the background is Bill came in here, and I think he was nervous to do it, and so he was drinking before. He went golfing before, so he was a little inebriated when he got here, and then was also drinking during. So by the end of it, he was just shit-faced wasted. Had to put him in a chokehold at one point, just to save the instruments that are in here.
Just naturally to slow him down.
But he decided that he was gonna tell us his story, or I talked him into telling the story about his DMT trip.
On my own personal experience, DMT, good drug. Everybody should have it. They should have a fucking bottle filled of it. Every person on the face of the earth should own a bottle of DMT.
Just one?
No, every person. Doesn't matter. Your 80-year-old grandma. When you come over to fucking have turkey dinner on Thanksgiving, that motherfucker, your grandma should be fucking in a different world when you come over. I heard some shit about aliens and like gold Buddhas and fucking all that bullshit. I don't do that. Well, not necessarily I don't do that. I just went with what I fucking had. I had a Jimi Hendrix poster, a fucking 4-wall fucking apartment bedroom with a fucking popcorn ceiling. And popcorn ceiling disappeared, scraping all over the place, disappeared. I had
completely
physically,
disappeared.
I felt physically anyways. I went under a Jimi Hendrix guitar, saw his shirt buttoned up left hand woman style because he's a fucking half fag and he wore woman's clothing, and behind the back of his guitar.
What does that even mean?
And then I came back out of that, and all the walls fell down, and I was floating in space for a minute, and then before you know it, one by one, the walls slapped up like it was fucking Tetris, and fucking goddamn ceiling hit, and I was sitting there, and then I realized why my buddy, one of my best friends, didn't want me to have a gun in the room. And that's when I realized there should be no gun in the room. Because when it was over, I thought about just popping a gun off like it was the 4th of July.
Okay, I was going to say,
no gun in the room.
like shooting yourself?
No, I wasn't going to shoot myself. I just didn't want to pop it up like it was 4th of July.
Celebrate.
Hey, do you remember the Whalers?
Immediately to the next one. The thing about it was, he goes, a good friend of mine, one of my best friends, didn't want me to have a gun in the room. That was me. Like, I was sitting there talking to him, and he's like my best friend who didn't want me to have a gun in the room. He was talking about me. But anyways, he immediately
shot afterwards.
Yeah. He immediately goes into another story about getting all drunk watching the Whalers perform.
How do you segue from one to the other? Like,
immediately like that, like he just did.
Do you remember the Whalers? The Whalers coming to town.
Yes.
Half Shell. Remember that shit?
Yeah.
You and Munkus carried me back to your apartment for the Whalers. I was so wasted.
Sound clip.
I remember the Whalers. Remember that shit?
Carried a few friends back.
Remember those bitches? Remember those bitches before we even left the park? Like, hey, we'll come home with you. And remember, I'm all drunk, like hanging on you too, and I'm like, fuck you, ladies. Well, you guys can go fuck yourselves.
Dude, as angry as I was with him for getting all drunk and like,
you can tell.
It's gold.
You can tell when you were just like, let's let it go.
Yeah, because it's just him. Okay, so he told that story to tell this story, and this is like the culmination of why he wanted to talk about the night of the Whalers.
But they show up. I fucking puke my ass off. I come out of the bathroom like I haven't had a sip. And I start drinking with the rest of them. And I own everybody else again. Drunk, puke. Same night. Owned everybody. That's my story.
Is that what you remember?
It wasn't amazing. It's like everybody's like on the edge of their seats. And
I remember you crying in at some point in that situation.
I might have. I might have looked down at my dick.
Oh God, man.
I got like 20 of them, dude. I'm pretty sure. But I don't know where he was remembering these stories from, but here's another little gem.
The only difference between disc golf and jacking off is you got to fucking take time off jacking off to disc golf. Hey Marty, if you stop yapping your trap, you can talk about the amount of quilts. It's $200 a quilt.
And
Oh my god. We're talking some handmade quality shit. We're talking. Alright, everybody. Oh my god, man.
dude, it was not this.
You can do this for days.
I know. I might have to start a whole new fucking podcast.
Jesus.
Just Dill being drunk.
He should have his own show. That is insane good.
Oh, I just hope that people that don't know him even just think that that's just as... Because it's, we got a skewed vision of it. It's like
He's
know.
just wasted. He's hanging out and he's trying to talk while he's drunk.
Yeah, here's...
Awesome.
Here's another one. Just, I don't know. He just started going
Doesn't
out.
matter. Here's what grinds my gears. What grinds my gears is this old lady who's always wanting to fucking shut you down.
Yeah?
Yep.
Shut you down from what?
You want to shut you down from golfing?
Ooh.
I want to shut you down from disc golfing. And disc golfing ain't shit.
He's got a point there. Every time I disc golf, there's always an old lady.
Dude, there's some old lady
Just
there trying to
getting up in my
shut you
shit,
down, dude. Swan. Okay, this is the last one. This is the last one for now, anyways. I don't even remember which one this one is, but I'm sure it's gold.
I can't give the dog rum and coke.
Oh, that's what you're gonna do?
I was getting the straw. You just you say no, and then I try to give the dog the straw again. And you're like, "That's what you're gonna do?" Like it was okay, and then I try to do it again. And you're like, "No, you fucking asshole."
Oh shit, that's our buddy. So yeah, if I could keep him from breaking shit or whatever, and yelling and making a damn embarrassment of himself, that would...
It was good, man. I'm glad you saved that.
Oh, dude, I went through immediately and started pulling clips out. You'll have to listen to it edited or whatever. But fuck, maybe I'll put it up online just because.
I think it.
Hey, that's the thing. If you listen to this and you dig all those clips and shit, you want to hear the whole thing, fucking tell me about it. I'll put it up there. I don't care. If somebody wants to listen to it,
I think it might be worth it. Even getting through whatever stumbling parts, just for the little nuggets in there, might be worth it.
That's why I started going through and pulling clips out. Fuck. Anyway, well, we're getting close to the end of it, so I guess I'll do my UFC calls right now. Are you a UFC fan? You watch a little bit, don't you?
Yeah.
Follow along. You basically know that you at least know that the best fighter of our time is fighting this next weekend. Anderson the Spider Silva.
Mm-hmm.
He's fighting Chris Weidman. From the looks of the card, really nobody gives a shit about the rest of the card because it's kind of there's no title implications or anything. The only thing anybody cares about on this card is Anderson Silva versus Chris, the All-American Weidman. A lot of talk. People think Weidman's the man to unseat the champ. He's got, fantastic wrestling. Some say close to Chael Sonnen-esque wrestling. And way better striking than the Oregon gangster himself. So... a lot of people are saying maybe he's got the stuff. Maybe he's got what it takes to take Silva out. And even I was thinking that for a little while. I started thinking, Silva's either going to knock him out or Weidman is going to knock him out or Weidman's going to win a decision. Now that calmer heads have prevailed, I said it again. I redid that and I still said calmer heads instead of cooler heads have prevailed. It's not the same. I'm dumb. You guys didn't know that. But anyways, the smart part of me piped up and said something about this fight. And I'm going with it. Anderson Silva, the Spider, the man. 3rd round, KO. Weidman's going down. He doesn't have what it takes. I'm sorry. Nobody does. Nobody ever will. He's going to retire undefeated in the UFC with the straps around his waist. And he's going to, that's going to be it. You got any views on this subject?
No, I agree.
Who do you think? You got Silva?
He's just got it locked, man. And
he's a magician, really. He's an artiste. Rest of the fights, starting off the pay-per-view, Dennis Seaver, Cub Swanson. Got Cub Swanson by second round TKO. Next fight, Tim Boetsch versus Mark Munoz. Munoz back after a long injury layoff. His first fight back after getting TKO'd by Chris Weidman by that elbow. Standing elbow to the face. Boetsch back after taking some punishment from Philippou. I'm just not sold on Tim Boetsch. I never will be. I think he got lucky against Yushin Okami. So I'm going Munoz for the decision. A plotting 3-rounder. Next one, why it's this high up on the pay-per-view, I don't know. Roger Gracie versus Tim Kennedy. Don't really care about this fight. I want to call Gracie for the submission just because that's what's coming at somebody with that last name, what's come natural to me. But Tim Kennedy's tough. He just fought Strikeforce's middleweight champ, a year ago and took him to a decision. I'm gonna go with a unanimous decision from Tim Kennedy. Fumbling jackass. Next one before Silva Weidman. Frankie Edgar versus Charles Oliveira. Frankie Edgar, which I hadn't thought about this for a while, but he's actually on a 3-fight skid. He was the lightweight champion. He beat BJ Penn in a rematch, and then had the epic 2 fights with Gray Maynard. Lost his title to Ben Henderson, lost the rematch to Ben Henderson, was given an immediate featherweight title shot against Jose Aldo, and Aldo beat him in a decision. So that's 3 fights Frankie's lost in a row, all 5-rounders, all decisions. So I'm going to pick him. As per usual, it's going the distance, but this one's only 3 rounds. So he'll get going about the second round, hopefully, and bang out a decision. Silva Weidman, Silva, 3rd round KO. Thanks to Kynes for stopping by. Twitter.com/SaintKynes. Twitter/ what I'm doing this all wrong. He's at St. Kynes. I'm at Danny Admire. SoundCloud.com/AdmireMusic. Fuck you later, and we'll leave you with this one last clip from the amazing Drunk Dill.
There it is. I show my dick. You can look at it and laugh. Okay, good. All right. Just like my old lady does. All right. We're set.
See, now you don't even want to fucking talk.
No, I do want to talk. Hey, don't read the back of that book. It doesn't tell you nothing. You got to read the whole goddamn thing. Anyways. All right. Rum and Cokes.